Have you ever poured your heart and soul into building something, pushed it out into the world, and then just heard crickets? It's a feeling almost every creator knows. Well, in this explainer, we're diving into one builder's journey to crack that exact problem, and it's all inspired by a fantastic newsletter from AI Nate. This is a story that, believe it or not, starts with lines of code but ends up asking some of the biggest questions there are about life itself.
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, right? Every single person making stuff online faces this same mystery. It really does feel like some kind of strange magic, a metaphysics of attention that seems totally impossible to predict. So, how in the world do you solve a problem that feels like magic?
Okay, so after weeks of being totally heads down, just building and coding, our creator hits a new boss level: growth. Suddenly, the challenge isn't just about making the tool work, it's about getting people to notice it in this incredibly noisy public square. The mission changes. It's not just about building anymore, it's about being heard.
So, instead of just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, the plan was to fight fire with fire, or, as the mission puts it, to use magic to defeat magic. The idea was to build a brand new AI, one designed from the ground up to actually understand those mysterious algorithms that decide what blows up and what fades away.
And this mission gave birth to a new project. This was the 10th one in this wild one-product-a-week challenge, and it was called Trend AI. But this wasn't just another app. No, this was an attempt to build an AI with a really unique kind of intelligence.
So, what does Trend AI actually do? Well, think of it like your personal AI content strategist. It dives into the chaos of the internet, analyzing massive amounts of data, like, say, all the daily trends on Reddit. But here's the crucial part. It then connects those trends to you, to your personal context and voice, to come up with ideas that aren't just trendy, but are actually authentic.
And this is where things get really cool. The big idea here, the core innovation, wasn't just about analyzing data faster. It was about giving the AI a memory, a long-term memory system that was literally inspired by how our own human brains work.
So how do you build a brain like that? Well, the creator cleverly combined two different kinds of database tech. You've got GraphDB, which is amazing at understanding relationships, how things are connected, and then you have VectorDB, which is all about understanding context and similarity. When you fuse those two together, you get something that starts to act like our own associative memory, you know? It can make those creative leaps and connect ideas in unexpected ways. And let me tell you, this was not just some theory on a whiteboard. The effort to bring this to life was just intense. To get the first beta version of Trend AI out the door, the creator pushed 81 separate code updates in a single marathon 41.5-hour session. That is just pure, focused creation right there.
You know, building an AI is one thing, but actually training it to be smart is a whole other beast. And to explain this, the creator uses this fantastic analogy. Imagine training an AI is like being a hiker trying to find the absolute lowest point in a vast mountain range, completely in the dark. It all started with something called SGD, which is kind of like our blind hiker. It can only feel the ground right under its feet, so it gets stuck or just goes back and forth really easily. Then came momentum, which is more like a rolling ball. It uses its own inertia to power through flat spots. After that, we got RMS prop, the terrain-aware hiker, who's smart enough to take smaller steps on steep slopes and bigger ones on flat ground. And finally, that brings us to Atom, the master hiker. Atom is the best of both worlds, combining that rolling ball inertia with that smart terrain awareness.
And what's so important to remember is that these algorithms aren't just abstract math. Atom, which is pretty much the industry standard now, has a human story. It was born in a legendary lab at the University of Toronto, led by Geoffrey Hinton. It's the crystallized wisdom from a whole group of brilliant people who are all pushing each other to solve this huge problem. All great tech has a human story, you know? And that kind of intense human process often leads you to ask much bigger questions.
Right. When you're that deep in the process of creating something that learns and remembers, it kind of forces you to think about bigger stuff. The journey of building this AI sparked a much deeper reflection on things like life, legacy, and, well, the whole meaning of it all.
So here's a thought experiment for you. If you had the chance to live forever, would you take it? It's a classic question for sure, but it really cuts to the heart of what drives us. Would having all the time in the world be a gift? Or would it just be a curse that robs life of all its urgency and meaning?
To sort of wrestle with this question, the creator looked at 3 different Eastern philosophies. So first you have Confucianism, which suggests this idea of spiritual immortality through your legacy, your achievements, your ideas. Then there's Taoism, which offers a more transcendent view.
You find permanence by becoming one with nature and letting go of the self. And finally, there's Buddhism, which brings it all back to mindful existence, teaching that real meaning is found right here in the present moment.
And the personal takeaway wasn't to pick just one, but to find a balance between all three. To create with the passion and drive of Confucianism, but to accept whatever happens, success or failure, with the grace of Taoism. And, through it all, to live fully in every single moment of the journey, just like Buddhism teaches.
So what's the one thing that ties all of this together? The late-night coding, the deep philosophical questions, the relentless building. What's the common thread? Well, it all comes down to a single, really powerful concept captured by the Chinese term chendian.
Chendian basically translates to sedimentation, or this idea of deep accumulation. And it's not about just learning stuff fast. It's about the slow, gradual, deep settling of knowledge, of experience, of wisdom that only happens over time through consistent, focused work. It's the solid stuff that's left at the bottom after all the noise and chaos has settled.
And right here, you can literally see what that accumulation looks like in real time. This timeline isn't just a list of products. It's a visual record of knowledge and skill just compounding, week after week. Look at the progression, from a personal memory tool in week 1, to a personalized assistant in week 4, and finally to a viral content strategist by week 10. Every single project is a stepping stone that was built on the foundation of the last one.
This whole idea was hammered home in a meeting with another founder. The insight was crystal clear. Opportunity doesn't just show up out of the blue, it's the direct result of years of preparation, that deep accumulation that happens when you're busy stumbling and crawling through the mud, not when you're just sitting around waiting for your moment.
And you know what? This accumulation includes all the screw-ups too. The creator tells this hilarious story about passionately explaining a topic to someone, only to find out later they were a world-renowned expert in that exact field. It's like the saying, wielding a broadsword before Guan Yu, the literal god of war. But you know, even those facepalm moments are a type of accumulation. They build humility, honesty, and a real love for learning.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. It's a full circle. Just like that AI, every one of us is building our own long-term memory system. The things we make, the things we put out into the world, that's our external memory, our legacy. But just as important is our internal model, the person we're becoming, which is built from our curiosity, our resilience, and our honesty.
So I'll leave you with the very same question the creator posed. As you're working on your own projects, your own career, your own life, just take a second to think about that deeper process. What are the invisible but truly valuable things that you're accumulating along the way? What is quietly settling at the bottom, forming the bedrock of who you're becoming?